Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asanzi and the returning Chad Big Bad Johnson. We finally found him. He was indeed on a rooftop in Las Vegas, and the door locked behind him, so he was stuck there for a little while. But he's back.
Is that why you're so tan right now, Chad?
Possibly. Let's go with it.
Beat me to my choke. We are here once again reviewing the latest episode of AEW Dynamite as we head closer and closer to Full Gear. And we will start here at the top of the show, which was Swerve in Our Glory and the Guns with both Stokely and W. Morrissey on the sidelines there. First FTR and the Acclaimed. I will say I'm a little upset Danny is not here because this is one of Max's best raps in a while, and I really wanted Danny's breakdown of this. This was great. There was a Herschel Walker line in there. Yep. It was awesome. And right after it ended, Daddy Ass came down and went straight after Swerve before the bell even rang, jumping him obviously because Swerve fucked up his hands a couple of weeks ago. They're separated, and Billy Gunn is sent to the back. This match was good. Everybody all got their spots in. It was a lot of fun. One of the, I think, the better spots was towards the end where Dax hit a superplex onto Austin Gunn, onto everybody to the outside, which was just spectacular. That led into them getting back into the ring, and Bowens hits Colton with the arrival after he went for a famouser, and then Max hit the mic drop, and then a big rig to Austin Gunn, and the good guys pick up the win here. So a lot of fun heading into Full Gear as we're continuing the storyline with the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory as they're going to have their rubber match at Full Gear. So Chad, once again, welcome back. And what did you think of this opening match?
Okay, so I definitely liked the opening match. It goes downhill from there. We'll speak about that later.
Hater.
Absolute
not
hater.
Jamie hater.
I was gonna say I liked her match.
Yeah, this was one of the few matches that I liked tonight. I'm gonna pop for the Acclaim regardless. Actually, the Billy Gunn of it all was really good.
I
liked it. He came in super clean. The tackle was brilliant. That's what you do. Swerve in Our Glory, I hate the name, but they did very well. I mean, it's not much else to say. It was fun. It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's going to be end up being a recurring theme of this episode is, it was good, but whatever.
Absolutely.
And this started there. Honestly, the best part of this was Max's rap, and then Billy going after Swerve, and then everything else, like I said, it was fine. James, everybody got their stuff in, and the good guys won. And I don't know what else to say about it.
It did advance the story in a little bit, because we do now have the AEW Tag Team Champions. They're interacting with the best tag team in the world, which is FTR. I've got to give it to FTR. I think this is the best big rig I've seen them hit in a long time. Like, they got air, they got a good grab, they landed perfectly. I thought it was a great big rig. And, they continued the animosity between Swerve and Keith Lee. So I'm really digging it. I agree the match itself was pretty standard, the big spots where everybody lands on everybody. We've been there, we've seen it. It's okay. The rap was great. Billy Gunn looked great. I think I'm way more invested in a Billy Gunn Swerve feud than I should be.
Especially in the year of our Lord 2022.
Exactly. So I'm very down with all of this. And, I think we're just killing time because we're 2 weeks from we're a week away. Right?
Is it a week?
Yeah, we're a week away from
the 19th. Yep.
From Full Gear. And
we can change.
It's admittedly been a long build to Full Gear. From All Out to Full Gear, it feels a lot longer than it's actually been.
Yeah, and I think probably part of that is because of how much stuff has happened between.
What happened? What happened? Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing too major.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, it has felt like a long build, and I think the other part of that is probably too because the BCC and the JS are still feuding, so I think that's making everything seem longer.
That they are,
but yeah, I mean, good match. That's all I got for you. All right, but all right. So then, since we don't have much to say about it, let's move on to a package for MJF. They said he was going to speak tonight, and he did. But on part of my take, which was really cool. I'm a big fan of their show, so shouts to them. And Max cut a promo on the show on part of my take that they showed on Dynamite, and it was awesome. So Big Cat asked him about the attack from the firm, and MJF said that he, following the attack, the doctor said if he wants to wrestle at Full Gear, he probably shouldn't be wrestling anymore or traveling too much. So that's why he hasn't been on any shows recently. And I do believe they said this was his first quote unquote public appearance since the attack by the firm. Max then started referring to all the greats in wrestling who defined their eras. He started with San Martino. I think he ran down guys like Hogan and Stone Cold, The Rock, Cena. Honestly, he basically just mentioned WWE guys, which is pretty cool. And obviously, pre-WWE guys with like San Martino and stuff. But and then he says, he respects Moxley because of where he came from. Mox wasn't born to be like a generational defining face of wrestling the way he and those other guys were. MJF says he's going to carry the flag of pro wrestling on TV and in movies, which is something that Moxley can't do. And then he goes on to say some of my favorite parts of this. Every pay-per-view match he has been overshadowed by something, whether it's a neck tattoo,
it was
Matt
great.
Hardy taking a fall like Humpty Dumpty, the Jericho at the end of the Blood and Guts match just for eating it, and MJF standing up there victorious in a crimson mask and nobody cared, and a press conference. So he's pretty pissed off that he's been constantly overlooked and overshadowed by all of these things. And he is going to prove himself and to everybody when he wins the title at Full Gear without the diamond ring because Regal backed the wrong horse. So, James, this took like a minute to get going, but like once it did, especially towards the end there with all the overshadowing stuff, it ended up being phenomenal. But at this point, what else do we expect from MJF?
It pains me. Like I every week I come in and I tell you guys the same thing about how upset I am because I want to boo this guy so much, but he's so friggin' good, and it sucks. It sucks because I hate him. I hate him and everything he stands for. But man, is he so good. I'm weirdly 50-50 on who's going to win at the pay-per-view. Like there was a point where I was like, MJF is going to be the world champion. Like there's no way, he's too hot. It's happening. Now they're planting that doubt in my mind that he might actually lose because it's like him wrestling with who he is and all this stuff. And Mox touches on that later. Man, it was such a great promo. The kid has so much future, so much upside. And it's just, we keep saying it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when could be next Sunday, or when could be
Saturday.
Closer to next Saturday because we live in a weird world, or it could be closer to 2024. I don't know, but it's going to happen. And he just shows us week in and week out why it should happen.
The bidding war of 2024. I mean, that could be a bit of a risk, but I think that's something we'd probably end up talking about as we get closer to that. But
yeah,
I think, Chad, this shows why he's so good, because we talked about this a few months ago where he almost, I don't want to say got stuck in a rut, but he was just kind of just spewing his catchphrases every week, and those were his promos, to the point where like we were kind of getting tired of them. And when he's not doing that, even if like, he mixes in the generational talent or something like that, like it's fine. But when he's not just relying on those and talking like this and making fantastic points, he's, I think, arguably the best promo in the game right now.
Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. I have to second an opinion that James made, I want to say maybe 2-3 months ago, I love the dance. When he said, the more we see MJF, oh, I'm sorry. He said, the less we see MJF, the better the promos are when he comes back. How refreshing it is that he's not in the ring every week. And I have to go with that. I think every time we see him now, it's starting to become more and more important. So this promo felt refreshing as to what he's been doing for a while. When he's missing for a minute, then he comes back. It's always great. I mean, he's always a good promo. We know that. But I think just when we the heart, grows fonder from absence or whatever that shit is, they say. So when he's absent for like a week or maybe just a day or so, then he comes back, it just looks better. That being said, great promo. I have no complaints. I never really do with MJF. I can't find many complaints.
Yeah, I've always said, like, back in the Attitude Era, Austin wasn't there every week,
Right.
and when he was there, it always felt way bigger and more special, especially when he showed up when he quote unquote wasn't there.
Right.
So the same thing applies with MJF here. When he's not there and then he is there, it makes him feel way bigger and more special. So using him, I don't want to say sparingly because obviously people want to see him, but using him just a little bit less than everybody else, I think is a great idea. It allows him to come up with better promos where he's not having to write something new every week and then, running out of material and just falling back on his catchphrases. So, and then we get stuff like this, and it was phenomenal. And it was hilarious seeing part of my take on AEW television. So all of this was great to me. I also want to hop into the chat really quick because Danny is in there, and he gave the rap by Max Caster a 9.6 out of 10, which was phenomenal. So I'm not surprised. All right, let us move on.
I love that you don't acknowledge anything
Any
else.
of the MJF.
Yeah. I didn't say they were sick of his shtick. I was just saying, like, we here at the chat were just kind of getting tired of him.
I was bored of the same thing. Bored of the same thing. It felt a little directionless, but he found his direction and it's perfect. Yeah,
it was just like he was coasting. Now that he has something to talk about, he's been great. It was just like that couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to when we came back after that commercial. We had a video package with Stokely Hathaway directed at MJF, and he says that he thought he was going to be by his best friend's side when his best friend won the championship. But instead, MJF wants to be liked and is dick riding without a license.
God damn.
It was such a good. He's dick riding Moxley, and the worst thing you could do is be dick riding without a license. Just bravo. Anyway, he goes on to say that he doesn't need MJF anymore and that he will see him in hell, which is phenomenal. After that, we had Ethan Page versus Eddie Kingston in the title eliminator tournament match. This was a solid, hard-hitting match. These guys, like pretty much everybody with Eddie Kingston, have been feuding forever. Eddie, I think I kind of tuned out of this match because Eddie's got this thing now where I think they're kind of trying to get him to hit like rock bottom storyline wise. So I kind of figured he was going to lose and like didn't really start paying attention until I saw Stokely up on the apron. I was like, oh shit, that means the match is going to end in a couple minutes. So Eddie had the stretch problem locked in and Page was tapping out. But like I said, Stokely was on the apron and distracting the referee. So the ref didn't see it. Ortiz comes over and runs Stokely to the back. But then there's some more back and forth, including Eddie missing his hurricane. And then eventually they go to the top rope and Ethan Page hits an avalanche Ego's Edge to pick up the win. So, like I said, Chad, slightly predictable, not a bad match, just it was what it was.
Yeah, Danny, drop any emoji in the chat if you want me to obliterate fucking Stokely Hathaway.
Oh, God.
5, 4, 3.
The man has a family.
2, I could care less. Danny, come on. I'm waiting on you. Anyway.
If it makes you feel better, there's a delay from when we're actually speaking to when we get stuff. So he might actually be seeing it like 30 seconds later and it's like, yes.
Which is fine. I'll come back to it. I'll interrupt you if I have to obliterate Stokely.
Awful.
This match wasn't needed, like you guys said. Like Rev said, I'm tired of seeing Eddie Kingston lose. I'm tired of seeing Eddie Kingston fight people he's been apparently fighting for 20 years. I just feel like when you're using Eddie Kingston, you should use him in, I guess, just a better way. I don't know. This match didn't do it for me at all. It was boring. I tuned it out. I'm tired of seeing Eddie do the Judas effect and missing it. This wasn't
it. It is admittedly a very weak finisher. His swinging back fist,
and maybe it's because I don't know. I don't want to body shame, but maybe because he's not fit or something. It doesn't look.
Sounds like you're body shaming.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm fat, but I don't like the way.
Sirens.
I don't like the way it looks when he does it. Like his form. I don't know. Like you said, it's kind of just weak. Period. So someone doing it besides Jericho makes it look like diet or great value. Almost.
I will say I have seen dudes in UFC and other MMA promotions get knocked the fuck out with spinning back fists, but they always look awkward.
Yeah,
and that's part of, you know what I mean.
So it's just an awkward looking move? Period?
Yeah, it kind of is. So, but because you're basically like blindly aiming for the temple and trying, or even the jaw, and trying to knock the guy out. And a lot of the times, either they're just kind of thrown to back a dude up, or they don't, or they get blocked and they don't land. It's very rare when somebody actually gets knocked out with a spinning back fist.
Okay, so from what you said, I'll grant him a little grace.
Yeah, it's just a difficult move to land. So honestly, it almost makes it, in my opinion, like a little bit less of a realistic finisher, but it works for him. I don't think he hits it that poorly. But yeah, you're right. It is kind of weird that he has a spinning back fist. Jericho uses a spinning back elbow. They are very similar, but it is what it is. James, what did you think of this match? You me in chat here. Were you not as enthused, or did you like it a bit better?
I liked it. I liked it for the talent involved. I agree with you guys. I'm sick of seeing Eddie lose. I'm sick of seeing the storyline of the unhinged Mad King just, on this downward spiral. But I do think it's necessary, like they say, sometimes it's darkest before the dawn. I don't know. I like the match itself. I like the psychology behind it. And despite Eddie losing, he was very protected here.
Yeah.
He got Ethan Page to tap out, but Stokely was distracting the ref. It took like a super finisher to put him down. It took the razor's edge from the top rope.
Yeah, the ego's edge.
I don't care.
Okay.
Just
trying to help.
Sorry, I like Ethan Page. No. It took the ego's edge. Okay. It took the ego's edge to put him down. But from the top rope, he took a super finisher after already getting the win and dealing with the distraction. It was a good way to protect him if he has to lose. And truth be told, we knew he was going to lose because they're setting up Ethan Page to be probably babyface MJF's first title defense. So you heard it here first, folks. Ethan Page probably winning the tournament. But yeah, it was a fine match. Again, I want to see good things for Eddie Kingston. I would love to see him win the TNT title or the ROH TV title or that possibly unified ROH, AEW, TNT, Dynamite, TBS, Grand Slam, Wolf Championship, Dynamite. I don't know. It'll be something. Or a match, yes. Or a match, yes. So, yeah. Fine match, sad outcome, but predictable, and good for Ethan Page, I guess.
Can we talk about Stokely now?
Give me 1 second, because I do want to talk about Kingston a little more for just a minute, because I feel like we are getting this, fall from grace to rock bottom storyline for Eddie Kingston, but maybe it's just because I haven't watched Rampage, but I feel like it's been very, very sudden that it's been happening. Like, he had that promo a couple of weeks ago with Renee, and apparently that was based off something that happened that I never saw. I guess it was on Rampage. And now he's lost, and now all of a sudden we're all just like, oh yeah, he's doing like the rock bottom storyline. And I'm like, well, okay, but like, when the fuck did it start? Like, I know he was off TV for a little while because, the thing with Sammy, but...
And I think that's sort of it, too. I think they don't want to acknowledge that his probably bad string of luck or his bad times involves getting suspended. I don't think they want to directly talk about the suspension, but I think the idea is wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's a big part of it. Eddie's not really holding it together. But if we're being honest, we're all sort of burying the lead here. The coolest thing was we saw Ortiz on TV again.
Yeah, it was good to see him.
Yeah, true.
Okay, Chad, go ahead. What do you got for Stokely?
I can't be the only one. Not this time. Please, no.
Well, no, I want to hear you have to say, but then I'll...
Okay. The dick riding line was great. Everything besides that has been super mid. Please, someone admit this with me. Please. I cannot be alone here. I know I'm not.
With him or like the firm in general?
Him. Just him.
Here's the thing, Chad. While you were gone, Danny expressed his undying love for Stokely. He said that not only was he the best thing in AEW, he was quite possibly the best manager of all time, making Paul Heyman, Don Callis, Bobby the Brain Heenan all look like jabronis. So I don't want to be caught in this war between you and Danny. So I'm just going to say the firm, it was a good idea. I'm not pointing any fingers, but it could have been done better.
I would agree with that. It's starting slowly. I kind of like all of the talents together with each other so far, but Stokely's just kind of been there. You know what I mean? He's not really the glue that's been holding anything together for them. He's just kind of there. Obviously, he helped Paige win this match, but outside of him ordering the attack on MJF, he hasn't. You're right, Chad. He hasn't really done anything awesome, and he's been kind of like that since he came in and was managing Jade for those first few months. So I know, and I've said this before on the show, I've seen that Tony Khan is very high on him. So I think he's going to keep getting shots, but to what end, I don't know. They're at least going to keep running the firm for a while. I think it's good. It's getting a lot of those guys on TV, and it's working for them so far. But him specifically, at this point, I don't even necessarily know if he's a piece they need, but he could be a piece that could be utilized if used differently and I guess more properly.
It's the fact that I know, because I've seen him, that he can be great, and he's just not doing it here. I don't know exactly what's gelling or not gelling or working or not working, but he really needs to sit down and just readjust his lens, because I don't know. I'm not getting, as Enigma said in the live chat, Stokely needs direction, not just screen time. I completely agree. I couldn't have said it any better myself, because we want to see him win. He just has to start putting together a plan or something.
Yeah, because there really isn't a plan. He's just the guy at the top of the firm who doesn't really do anything.
I think it also needs to be acknowledged that we don't know what the original plans were for MJF, for the firm, because they were probably going to be interacting with CM Punk. We were probably getting a heel MJF, a straight up heel MJF, the devil himself MJF feuding with Punk. And the firm was probably going to be a big part of that. So I'm sure they had to pivot in some way since then. And maybe they are the biggest casualties of this, and we don't know that yet. Maybe that's the reality. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving them too much benefit of the doubt, but we do need to acknowledge they were presented as a very big deal on the night they debuted, and then treated like a wet fart the following Wednesday.
It's true.
You know, and like, I'm not even trying to, like, I've been a bigger defender of this group than most, but the reality is they have been directionless. They have been aimless. And it's not even just Stokely. It's essentially every member that isn't Ethan Page. When was the last time we saw W. Morrissey on screen? I think
he's the only one I actually like.
He was at ringside for the opening match, but he didn't do anything. Honestly, the only good thing he did was he roused Colton to save Colton to save Austin at the end of the match. That was it.
It's such a waste of the big man's talent right now. Yeah. It just is. Bottom line, I'm hoping that they could find their footing. I don't have a lot of faith, but I do have patience because I understand there had to be an audible at play. There had to be, no matter what. Even if the only audible is they changed Punk for Moxley, it's still a change in some way, and it had to have impacted certain things. So other than that, let's see. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I guess kind of the Ass Boys have a little, they don't have direction, but at least they're doing something. They have been feuding with the Acclaimed kind of, and FTR as well. So that's obviously why we had the match to start the show. All four of those teams have been involved with each other. So at least they're doing something as opposed to, like you said, Morrissey and some of the other guys. I will push back on one thing. The biggest casualty to come out of the whole all-out press conference thing was the lack of BTE and seeing the Dark Order on that show every week. That's the biggest casualty of the.
I thought you were going to say Larry's teeth.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
All right, let's move on here. So after the Page and Kingston match, we had a backstage interview with Jose, the assistant, who invited, and Roosh, who invited the Dark Order there. Jose says that Roosh is going to win the title eliminator tournament and then the title itself, and that 10 will get the first shot. They still have this like hard on for 10, and we haven't really seen it on screen for a while, but I guess it's back. Roosh then says the rest of the Dark Order will never get a shot at this title. Silver calls him a Roosh bag, and then there's a bit of a pushing and shoving and a pull apart. Nope, and honestly,
this was bad.
It was bad. It was only good because Silver said Roosh bag, and other than that, it was pretty terrible. And I wonder how long Johnny's been sitting on that one.
He was, but this was bad for a reason you're not even really touching on. And it was bad because we had a Dark Order segment, and where was Boom Boom Colt Cabana?
Good point. Very good point.
Give me my Dark Orgy boys.
They need to give us something with that. We said that last week when Cabana came back. They need to give us something with the Dark Order and Cabana, even if it's just them, like hugging. And he's like, hey, like, I love you guys forever, but like, I'm going to go do my own thing. Like, and I'm still with you guys. Just, I'm going to take my space. That's totally fine. Just give us fucking something, Tony. Or hopefully with all these elite teases, BT is back soon and they'll do it there. Either way, we need it. After this, we had Wardlow versus Ari Daivari for the TNT title. This went about exactly as he expected it to. Daivari offered his butler to Wardlow in exchange for the title itself. Wardlow comes out, kills the butler, and then destroys Daivari in about 3 minutes. But that's all irrelevant. What really was important here was after the match, Wardlow grabbed the mic and called out Powerhouse Hobbs, who came out onto the stage. Wardlow says Hobbs will never get his TNT title and that he will take every title in the company. This really pisses off Ring of Honor TV champion Samoa Joe, who came out with Wardlow. And after last week, where Wardlow pushed Joe on Rampage to start screaming at Powerhouse Hobbs, Joe's pretty fed up with his shit. He blindsides Wardlow with the title, puts him in the coquina clutch, and puts Wardlow to sleep. Now, I don't know what this means for either of these titles. James, you seem to think that they're going to unify the TNT and Ring of Honor TV titles. I don't know if Joe is now going to be put in this Hobbs and Wardlow match that I do believe is scheduled for Full Gear, but a lot happened in a very short amount of time.
first of all, it just feels like I'm going to get the meatiest of meaty matches. And I'm really trying to keep my composure while thinking about it. I don't want to be sent to HR. I do feel that they're leading towards a unification match. I've seen a big push for unification between these titles for a while from the internet fans. I don't necessarily agree that if they're going to unify to an ROH title with an AEW title, the TV title is the way to go. As cool as the pure title is, it's not a belt for everyone. It's a very specific belt for very specific wrestlers. So you're going to be eliminating a lot of competition for a championship if you eliminate the TV title. That said, we have all talked about there being too many titles right now on TV. I didn't really understand why Samoa Joe would be upset at the line, I'm going to win every title in this company. The ROH titles from a different company.
Yeah.
Why?
Silly.
He should have said in every company, but that would have made a bit more
Just
sense.
say, I'm going to win every title there is. I'm going to win every title I can. Boom.
I'm going to win every title in this
on.
company. I'm going to win every title in Ring of Honor. I'm going to win every title I possibly can. And then Joe looks at his title and then decks him.
It was silly. But anyway, I'm excited for Joe to finally have a character direction. He's really just been, above all, has just been wandering, floating, doing nothing, being Wardlow's like Robin. And Samoa Joe is better than that. I know last week I was saying I'm a little like, I think in 2022, we've got to like lower our expectations when it comes to Samoa Joe in matches. But the reality is he is still Samoa Joe. He should be treated with respect if he's there. And I feel like he hasn't been getting that. So at the very least, he's going to be featured in a pay-per-view match, most likely at Full Gear. I'm very hyped for that. Truth be told, I would love to see Powerhouse Hobbs sneak with the win here. Let Samoa Joe and Wardlow destroy each other, and Powerhouse Hobbs walks out as champion. That would be amazing to me. But all in all, I don't even know if we really talked about the match itself. There really wasn't one. Ari Daivari, I don't know why Parker Bordeaux wasn't there, right? Or Boudreaux. Is that how you say his name?
The great value Brock Lesnar.
Great value Brock Lesnar. Don't talk about Bobby Lashley like that.
Shots fired.
All right, he lost. That's all I'm going to say. And he lost in a jabroni way. But regardless, I find squash, as Wardlow is known to do. Good segment to lead to the future, even if it was a little silly on the explanation. But I'm remaining calm. I'm being zen until I get my match.
I will go to the chat here for a second, and Eric said it in a bit more dickish way than I will, but they had a horrific camera cut when Joe went to hit Wardlow with that title. Pretty much missed it. Do better, guys. At least they fucking showed the replay this time. There's been so many times where they've missed something and not shown the replay.
Just awful.
Could be worse. You could have missed Edge's first spear in 8 years. I don't know. I think I'm going to push back on your unification idea just because I agree with you. There are too many titles on AEW right now, but what happens when Ring of Honor does eventually get this alleged new TV show, and then there's no TV title for that show?
Oh, I agree. I don't want them to do. I don't want them to do this. If they get rid of it, ROH will have the Ring of Honor World Champion, the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, which is currently held by Daniel Garcia. It will have the Tag Team Championships, which are currently held by FTR. It will have the 6-man championship, because they're specifically not called the Trios Championship, right. Held by Dalton Castle and the boys. And it will have the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, which I think Mercedes Martinez still has. I have no idea.
Allegedly.
But that is a fair number of championships for a show to have. If they wanted to have another mid-card title, the TV title is there. I'm a proponent of, like I said, like I started my spiel, I think they're better off with the TV title than they are the pure title, even though the pure title is so different. But We'll see. I don't know why they would have done this champion versus champion thing.
Well, that's assuming we are getting a match with Joe involved. I guess we are. Like, they didn't officially announce it, but
well, even if you take the powerhouse Hobbs out of it, that means the match would just be Wardlow versus Joe. Because how do you have him choke him out and then not have follow up?
No, you're absolutely right. Even if like it's just Joe splitting from him, it'd still be pretty lame if we didn't have a follow up. So I did look. It is still Mercedes Martinez. I don't know where the fuck she's been, but I guess we're gonna bitch about too many titles. Of course, Tony Khan's gonna take away the women's one.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. But Chad, would you think of not only Joe turning on Wardlow, but James's idea that they could possibly unify these titles?
I mean, I think the unification makes sense. I'm with James. I would rather them unify the pure title with the TNT so that we can still have the TV title. I feel like that's more important, a championship. Other than that, I have almost nothing nice to say about any of this. I like Samoa Joe. I like Hobbs. I like Wardlow. I do look forward to a triple threat match from them. But other than that, I really looked at the screen and said, fuck, this is Wardlow. Like, I'm literally unenthused, uninterested, and I love Wardlow. I don't know what they've been doing, but this is just, it's not it. It's not it. I mean, I'm looking forward to Hobbs and Samoa Joe because I just like them as wrestlers, but they look terrible almost. Well, except for Hobbs. Hobbs looks great. But
the worst part is, Chad, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't think Wardlow looks terrible. They are booking him to be dominant as hell. I don't think he's lost a match since he's won the title.
Yeah, on paper, he's had a great run.
The problem is, it's been nothing of importance.
Yeah.
He's either been in tag team feuds or squashing jobbers. That's not what you do after you win a title.
The only person I feel like he's beaten really is Orange Cassidy.
Jay Lethal too.
Oh yeah, he did beat Lethal. Yeah,
but who hasn't? Who hasn't? So
the big matches though do feel few and far between for this title.
Do.
So look, this title is cursed. It's been cursed since Cody. So
no, that's not true. That's not true. Okay. I was thinking. All right.
Not the
Miro. I was thinking it was cursed since Miro, but essentially, yeah, Cody and Sammy.
It's the Cody Sammy back and forth.
Yeah, no, you're right. You are right.
All right. I'm going to have to pause the show here for a second, not entirely, but because Danny Hernandez has joined the show late as ever. Danny, are you there?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, because we also all just blew out our ears when your mic fell. What's going on? How are we doing, Danny?
Good. Sorry, I had a cat on my chest, so I couldn't join the show.
Understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, what do you, God, not only the rap was fantastic, man.
Okay.
That's all I really wanted him for, so I might as well get
it was just great. Like you said, he mentioned Herschel Walker, he mentioned Kyrie. He did not waste any time, and he didn't even give a pause for the audience to fully get their O's out because he had no time to waste. He had to go to the next fucking line right after that. It was just great A stuff. Great A stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I kind of agree with Chad that the show was good. Good job with Stokely, Chad. I'm glad you've come back clear-headed, and that's good.
I'm not entirely sure Chad didn't go to the Player Haters Ball while in Vegas.
Right?
Oh God.
Hate.
Let's see what else happened on the show. Nothing, right? That's pretty much it. Those are the
You're caught up.
Yeah, but we had just finished talking about Wardlow and Samoa Joe.
Oh, I just want to say real quick, James, that prediction about Ethan Page, it's not that it's bad. It's not a bad prediction. It's just bad.
It's bad that it's going to happen.
Yeah, and he's not even a credible challenger to the TNT title. and he's going to challenge for the world title. MJF's first challenger.
It's gonna
Way
happen.
to set the guy up to fail. Holy shit.
MJF's first challenger is going to be the braided up guy.
Lance Archer.
Him.
God.
I was gonna say,
yeah, there's a lot of time until the next pay-per-view. So
yeah, well, everybody. It's not that everybody dies; it's that everybody faces Archer and he loses when they have the title. That's what the line really is.
So sad.
Man, I don't like super hate the idea in a vacuum of the firm being the first people to challenge MJF after he wins the title, assuming that happens. But it just the way things are right now, it does seem pretty poor.
If they were important, that would be fine.
Yeah, or let me see if I could change your perspective on it, right? Pretend WWE was doing this, and then how would you feel about it?
I just say no. I think the way things stand right now, it's poor. It's a poor choice.
I mean, the concept of it works. It's just there's no individual talent in that group that should be doing it.
I just meant because Rev's getting paid off by AEW, so he never says anything bad about that.
That's
yeah,
why they should be building Morrissey now. That would be great.
If Morrissey went for it, it would be believable. The problem is you don't have Morrissey, this guy that they're booking as a monster, lose first feud. You don't do
Well,
it.
he lost to Wardlow in 2 seconds. So
That was when he was an Impact star. It doesn't count.
okay.
This is true.
Or he wouldn't be a good challenger for MJF because I don't like having the big man as the first challenger for like a normal sized guy. I think it's just
I
a
agree.
slow start to a title reign. But anyway, the wardrobe stuff, who cares, right? I think that's what you guys said.
Yep.
What's next, Rev? Let's get back on track. After
All
I did
right. Director Danny over here. Next, we had a backstage interview with Jade and the Baddies. I didn't hear most of this, but from what I could tell, she's still pissed she doesn't have her title. And now there's a match for it on Full Gear against Nyla Rose. Pretty sure that was the gist of that whole.
I'm really mad that AEW, like even in kayfabe, is acknowledging Nyla as the TBS champion. Like she's listed in the graphic with TBS in quotes.
Yeah, in quotes.
It, like, do they like? Is this like The Office?
That tracks like the graphics department's very tongue-in-cheek. Have fun with the thing, like they're all the stuff they did for Hangman.
Yeah,
the upper thirst for Hangman.
They're more consistent character than half the roster, honestly.
Best written character in wrestling, the AEW graphics department.
I think point being, she shouldn't like. Why has nobody gotten involved yet?
How long has it been?
No, you're right.
It's been like a month.
Well, who wants to get involved? Because if you go over there, you get roasted by Nyla, and Vicky Guerrero is blowing your eardrums out. Of course, nobody comes up to them and tries to stop them.
We've already seen that Tony Khan is afraid of his talent. But to see him get cucked every week by Nyla now is just sad.
She's definitely going to borrow that for Twitter if she ever sees it. Yeah, I mean, even on a Rampage this week when they were doing the graphic, it said like self-proclaimed TBS Open Challenge or something, in quotes. So
I don't like that.
I don't hate.
It doesn't make sense.
I personally don't hate that they're running with it because like they put nicknames on on graphics, and so right now she's calling herself the TBS champion. Like
so let me ask you this.
quote unquote nickname. Now look, it's bullshit. But it's wrestling, and you're overthinking it.
If Anna Jay beat Nyla, was she going to take the title? Was AEW just going to be fine?
Well, I mean, if Anna Jay made it out of there with the title and her life, I guess she would be running around with it. But both of those things were not very plausible. Now were they?
Move forward because I'm getting a migraine.
Yeah, it's very 24/7 ish.
These are things you don't have to worry about because wrestling isn't real. All right, let's move on.
Me, damn it.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me, Rev.
After this, we had the in-ring interview with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Saraya. Saraya started it by officially announcing that she is 100% cleared to wrestle. So honestly, everything else aside, congratulations to her. I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's healthy, and it's good to see her back in the ring. Britt says that Saraya only came after her because Britt built AEW into a fortress that wrestlers, nay, superstars, wanted to join, and that she's everything Saraya ever wanted to be. Saraya responds that Britt's only there because Tony Khan handed her the position and fed her a bunch of QT's trainees, and that she doesn't know how to be a superstar because she was handed everything, as opposed to Saraya, who had been wrestling. She's been in part of wrestling for 30 years. She's been wrestling professionally for 17 of them, and she's gone through obviously all the crazy and horrible things that she's ever been through just to get to where she is now, including like losing her career there for a long time. So it's absolute horseshit that Britt just got handed all this and she thinks she's the best. Saraya then goes on to say that it'll be her versus Britt at Full Gear, and it'll be her comeback story versus the biggest match of Britt's career. Britt is stunned, and then she swings at Saraya, but Saraya ducks it and hits the move formerly known as a rampage. So, James, there was a lot to unpack here, mostly from Saraya, because she was very open and honest and emotional in this promo, not just from her tearing up to the applause she got when she announced that she was 100% cleared, but to her going into a lot of her personal life. And obviously we saw a lot of her personal life while she was in, I didn't mean it like that, but
too late.
but I was referencing that, like, we saw so much of everything from, will you stop? But I'm trying to be serious here and you're fucking me up. But no, but seriously, like, she's gone through so much in so many different facets of her life. And she was, I think, more open and honest about it here, even though she was only alluding to certain things, than she's been anywhere in a really long time.
All right. All seriousness, like you said, congratulations to psoriasis. I'm happy for her that she's cleared. She's worked very hard for this for a long time, and I'm a big believer. I want to see people go out the way they want to, not because they're forced to. It doesn't matter who they are. I got to tell you, when I was watching this, I even texted the group chat. I was like, damn, guys, I think Saraya is going to have to turn heel. And it was because I was reminded how good Britt Baker is on the mic. When she's bringing her A game, it's next level. She got that crowd behind her. She got that crowd anti-Saraya.
Yeah, it was a big impressive. It was a big DMD chant after there was a big Saraya chant not 2 minutes ago.
Beyond them chanting for her, the crowd was actively booing Saraya when she spoke in the beginning. It was either crickets, very low, or they were just not agreeing. Now, 30 seconds later, Saraya turned it around, and that's why she's the star that she is, or the superstar that she is. I got to give her the credit for that. She really got that crowd to come around, and it was because of the emotion she put into it. It was how real it was for her, because it was real. Everything she spoke about, it's not storyline, it's not kayfabe. This has been her life. And for better or for worse, she's been through a roller coaster. And right now it seems like she's on a high note. And I'm happy for her. I want her to capitalize on it. I want her to make the best of it. Time will tell. She's not a kid anymore. You know, so much of what we've seen with her was in her early 20s. She started her career as a teenager. Like, infamously, her first bump was in her mom's belly because her mom didn't know she was pregnant while wrestling. So I want her to have a storybook finish the way we wanted Punk to, but we'll see. I'm very excited for this match. This has big match feel to it, big fight feel, big time. I'm ready for it. I'm happy to see. It seems Full Gear is going to have at least, wow, we're getting 3 women's matches.
A new record.
I'll take it. I'm very happy to see this being such a high profile feud. And I think both women are bringing their A game.
Yeah, I'm excited, really, really excited to see this match. Not just because I want to see what Saraya still has left in the tank, but I want to see it. Like, they've done a great job building this up, and it took a minute, I would think, because it was just basically at the beginning, like, Saraya just chasing Britt around, and they would like kind of hockey brawl, and then they'd end up in the back somewhere. But this is the first time they've like really truly confronted each other, Chad, and I think this sold that match more than anything they've done since Saraya's gotten back.
I wasn't super high on it until I realized she was cleared. And then once I got that news, I got excited. I was like, okay, it makes sense now. And then the announcement of the match at the pay-per-view. So I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. It works. It makes sense. That's really all I got.
Wow,
That's really all I got.
You are a lot more down on this than James and I.
Not down, just not as up.
I will
As
I will
enthused.
say one thing. They did a pretty poor job of handling the announcement.
Absolutely.
Like we've essentially known since last week. We figured before then, like, okay, why are they bringing her in if she's not going to work? Why are they putting her in a feud with Britt Baker if she's not going to wrestle her? We've essentially kind of known. Last week was the tease. Well, I just got to talk to one more person, and then next week
one more
I'll
doctor.
let you know. Doctor. Anyway, we're still arguing about that a week later. Regardless, it should have felt like a big deal, or at the very least, they could have added some pageantry to it. Unfortunately, I wasn't cleared, and then she drops her. He says, "I lied," stuff like that. But that, unfortunately, for you, it was corny. It was kind of corny.
Yeah,
it was. You're right. I think perhaps they probably should have just told us day one that she was cleared. I think that the pop of her coming back was crazy. And then the pop of her announcing that first day that she's 100% cleared would have been far better than the one she got here.
I agree.
She got a decent applause, but like it was a very, congratulations, instead of a fuck yeah, like you probably would have got when she first returned. So Danny, where do you stand on all this? You excited for this match? I think obviously you're excited to see Saraya back in general, but are you excited for this match coming up in a couple of days?
Absolutely. I am very excited for it. I think one of the takeaways I just got from this is that, James is obviously a little sexist, so we got to take his opinion with a grain of salt, give Jeff Hardy all the chances in the world, but gosh, Saraya got one chance and now he's like, oh, we'll see.
She's gotten multiple chances.
From you? It looks like she got none from you, man.
All right. It wasn't until the video with her boyfriend, fiance, where they joked about the domestic abuse that I was like, all right, I'm out.
Jeff Hardy is gonna kill someone at the rate he's going.
I think the boyfriend did kill someone.
Yeah, and I don't give a fuck about whatever his name is, Reggie Radcliffe, whatever his name is. I don't give a fuck. Okay, it's a shitty band for shitty people. Sorry, Nick. It's a shitty band for decent, misguided people. So I don't really give a fuck. But no, I'm. And in all seriousness, also the other part. Sorry, I'm not done with the James' sexist part. Oh my God, I think she needs to turn heel. I did. So did Moxley have to turn heel because MJF has been getting cheered for the past 5 weeks? Like what?
But Moxley was also getting cheered. Moxley was also getting cheered.
Promo, and then it's like, Saraya's got to turn heel, but it happens all the time where heel cuts a really good promo because all AEW heels cut this promo. Britt's not the first one. Like, and don't get me wrong, Britt's the best talker in the whole best female talker in the whole company, and just one of the best talkers period in the company. This happens all the time. Heel cuts a really good promo. They get applause. Babyface get booed a little bit. Okay, like I'm not gonna. Well, this guy's coming up later, so I'll save it for later. But yeah, that doesn't mean anything. That's one part of her promo, and then like you said, she won everyone back because. But also more so, fuck the crowd. More than you, James. You didn't actually do anything wrong. I'm just pulling your leg. Crowd, fuck you. Play along. You play along. AEW crowds are so good at playing along, even when they like a heel. They know their job. This crowd did not know their job. So fuck the crowd. But also,
I'm not sure where they were tonight, but I did
Boston.
see it was Boston.
That makes sense.
I did see quite a few complaints on Squared Circle about this crowd and their just enthusiasm in general. So, I mean, I guess it wasn't the best, but it is what it is.
But to defend the crowd, and I'm flip flopping all over the place. But like you
It's
guys,
all right,
were
election
just saying,
season's over.
like you guys were just saying, it's really the presentation of all of this that has hampered it. Okay, the crowd would have reacted more favorably. Like if you guys said they just announced this right away, even if it wasn't week one, even if she just came out at Grand Slam that I'm pretty sure 100% of us were at, and then nothing else happened, and then the week after it's announced, that's fine because it was, like you said, James, it was announced basically when she got physical in the first place. But I think the ideal way to have done it would have been to have you have the debut at Grand Slam. I don't change a thing about that. That was
I agree.
one of the biggest pops of the year, I think, for the whole company. I think you keep that the same. And then the week after, all you do is you take a page out of Daniel Bryan's, which have Britt and her goons beat the fucking shit out of her and have the crowd gasp, and then you have heat, and then the dynamics are clear and the crowd aren't going to be torn and go back and forth and be confused about it. And then you have it like, oh, she can wrestle. Like if she's taking bumps, like that's it. But you still you get that gut reaction of, oh no, because we're all looking at her like, this is dangerous.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
In general?
Right.
Yeah. Like this is dangerous in general, but like this is very dangerous for you right now. So you had all of that, and they have slowly let all of the air out of the balloon instead of popping the balloon for a loud noise to make some noise. They just let it slowly deflate over time. So I don't think any of this is reflects poorly on Saraya. I think this is just more proof that Tony Khan just can't book a women's division to save his life. Because we're getting 3 matches on the pay-per-view, but I only care about this one and to a degree the title match, which again would be better if the world title match.
I wasn't trying to sass you there. I just wasn't sure.
They're actually, and I was gonna jokingly say, well, the one for the not legit title, but they're both not legit.
Neither are legit. Yeah.
It's so confusing, both being held by the it's annoying. Eva Elise was right about Thunder Rosa, but anyway.
Dios mío.
I will say one thing about the Tony Khan of it all and Saraya. Saraya has faltered a little bit with her promos, which I'm going to give her credit for. It is an adjustment going from the WWE style to the AEW style. I said the same thing about William Regal. When Regal was transitioning back and trying to get used to the free form of cutting promos, he faltered a little bit. I think this feud has been booked well, save for the whole can she wrestle aspect of it. And I stand by, it does have that big fight feel.
Absolutely.
But I also think it's just because it is Saraya. It is Britt Baker. For as much as we complained about how pushed Britt Baker has been, it's paid off now because this feud feels as important as it does without it needing a title. When
you say we, I don't think you mean any of us, though, because when have we actually ever done that on the pod?
So I'll take it then. I've definitely felt like we've gotten a little bit more Britt Baker than we should have at certain points. But I do think she is the best talent they have in that division as a whole package. She might not be the best worker. I don't think she's the best worker. But when you bring everything in, she is their biggest star.
Yeah. I just wanted to, not against you, but I hate anyone who compares her to Charlotte or anything like that, where I'm like, oh, I think those people are dumb. If any of you are in a chat right now, you're dumb.
Very
I got nothing to follow up on that one.
I was gonna say somebody just watch the how many people are watching count, see if it goes down because Danny just called people though. I mean, I'm not gonna call anybody dumb, but you're right, Danny. Like comparing her to Charlotte's ridiculous. Like Britt hasn't been wrestling that long either, which is crazy, especially compared to Charlotte.
I mean, to be fair, Charlotte hasn't been wrestling that long.
To be fair.
And to be fair, you know, Charlotte's never cut a memorable promo in her life where Britt does it almost every week. So, you know,
the man's got a point.
Does Britt have any dead siblings that Saraya could awkwardly bring up?
Okay.
She did it to Charlotte. That's all I remember.
No, I know, and she didn't want to. I know, but
oh my.
Completely threw me off with that one. That is not that's usually like a Danny joke. That's not a James
That was
joke.
dark as fuck.
You guys are corrupting me. I came into the night so happy.
Did you?
Oh man. I will say this to Tony's booking of the women's division. What was the last not title women's match on a pay-per-view?
There was one in the last couple because this isn't the first show with 3 matches. I
don't even remember what they were.
I think it probably was the Owen actually. So it's probably the Owen. Probably had the TBS Owen and the world title.
And even that was for a belt. So
I was gonna say it. I'm glad I didn't because it doesn't count. But I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, but like my point being, like there was.
Well, it's AEW, of course, it was for a belt. This match might end up being for a belt. We don't know yet.
The new Saraya belt. I mean, look, I just think. Obviously, we want to see more of this women's division, and hopefully, as we said when she came in, Saraya being there hopefully just makes Tony pay attention to it a bit more, and maybe somebody gets in his ear or just gets into the company in general who can focus on this division and give it, you know, the time it deserves and the actual like good writing it deserves. Because while it's seemingly getting better, it has been one of the, if not the weakest point in AEW throughout its entire tenure.
Well, so like the firm came around. But yeah.
I've missed you, Daniel.
Touche. All right, let's move on. We went to a flashback to backstage with Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh. They were paying Cole Carter in the factory for Carter's just absolutely wonderful performance at the top of the show last week when he helped out jumping Darby. Orange Cassidy, Danhausen, and the Best Friends then come up the steps, and Danhausen's all pissed off because they interrupted his Halloween party. So QT gets involved, and he says that Orange Cassidy likes to put up the All-Atlantic title, so why doesn't he put it up against Shotty Lee Johnson, who I forgot was a thing, and Orange Cassidy accepts. Then Trent calls Lethal and Dutt scumbags, and then that leads to a match between Trent and Jay Lethal. So
I really don't want to talk about this, but why was there that weird like transition from between these two things, as if there was a time lapse between the two parts of this? Like it literally went from the Orange, who, by the way, I think you undersold it there, who didn't even let him finish challenging him for the title, where he was like, how about you put that title up against Shotty? Like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Like you didn't need
that was
I don't
awesome.
care. Fucking stop.
Best part of the show, besides the rap.
To like just it being Trent and Chucky T calling him scumbag. Like it was so jarring. All the cuts in the show were so weird. Yeah. That's all I have to say. I don't care about the match, so you don't have to go to me for that. It doesn't matter.
Fair enough. It was kind of weird though. It was like they kind of everybody left and they just didn't show it and they just skipped ahead. I don't know if it was a time saving thing or what. It was weird, but either way, we ended up with this match, and as Danny has already put it, it was meh. Like it had all the shenanigans you would expect with Danhausen and Dutt on the outside. Singh jumped up on the apron at one point for the distraction. Danhausen went up to curse him. Dutt turned him around and, you know, took a shot to the dick, and then Singh threw Danhausen off the apron, and then he got knocked off the apron, and Lethal hit a lethal injection, and hooray. After the match, the winners go up towards the stage, and Shivani goes to interview them, but Dutt grabs a mic and tells Shivani to fuck off. Dutt then introduces their new partner in crime, motherfucking Double J, Jeff Jarrett. and pretty much all he said was he's there for Sting, and then there for Sting, and then he threatened to crew the guy who was counting him down, and backs him off. And honestly, I just didn't really listen to anything Double J had to say because I just did not care.
So I'll take over.
Go ahead.
I actually liked that he was there and what he did, simply because for the first time, this felt like a group that made sense together. I know about his history with Sanjay Dutt. They never really got into it before.
Is this a Ring of Honor thing?
It's an Impact thing. It's a TNA thing.
Ooh.
Like, they were part of the X Division together, and there's history there, and I'm glad that it's finally acknowledged.
Jeff Jarrett was in the X Division?
No, I mean, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt were in the X Division together, which is why they were together.
That I kind of knew.
But Jarrett feels like he was the missing piece to this group, which is sad. If this was 15 years ago, I would be terrified that he was about to become AEW champion.
I'm still not necessarily entirely easy about it.
It could very easily happen. But
he's the Ring of Honor world champion.
Was he ever?
No, he was never in Ring of Honor. By the time, so
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to see him versus Jericho for that title.
No. TNA and Ring of Honor went through a very
disgusting. The thought of the matchup was fucking disgusting. Sorry, as you were, James.
You are correct.
Wait, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Would you rather work for Jeff Jarrett or Billy Corgan?
I'm not conservative enough to work for Billy Corgan, so I'd rather work for Jeff Jarrett. I might not get paid on time, but I'm gonna it'll be a fun time. They got their checks. It was just like a month or two late, and I think that was more a Dixie Carter thing.
How unprofessional.
Okay, under Jeff Jarrett's booking, this is what I'm going to say. Under Jeff Jarrett's booking, Rhino became a world champion. Raven became a world champion. AJ Styles became a world champion. And R-Truth became a world champion.
Okay, so let's blame Dixie.
Indictment, or I don't know what you're going for here.
What I'm saying is
R-Truth.
If Rhino could become a world champion.
What happened next on the show, Rev? What happened?
Chad, did you have anything for this?
This is disrespectful.
I don't like Jeff Jarrett. I have no valid reason why. I like that he used to say slap nuts, and it ends right there.
He said it last week.
I don't even think that's that funny. It's like
the only funny time it happened.
It was funny in '98.
It was funny. It was funny when the guy said it to him, and then Jarrett whacked him with the guitar backstage. That was really it for me.
Yeah, he doesn't do it for me. I'm good.
I think this is one of the few times I'm actually not giving something the benefit of the doubt, and I have no idea why. I probably should. Anyway, I think they didn't announce it to the end of the night, but this has now led to a match between Lethal and Jarrett versus Sting and Darby at Full Gear. So Sting will be back, and then they'll be putting their undefeated tag team record on the line. All right. Per Danny's request, we will move on. We had a backstage interview with Jungle Boy, where he said that Christian doesn't get to decide when their shit is over. He does, which is a very heel thing to say. And I think he's going to just do something on
Moving
Rampage.
on!
No, let the man finish. Whoa.
The pace here, calm down, man.
What are you doing? I demand decorum, as you were, Rev.
All right. After that, and I'm not moving on because of James. I'm just moving on because that was pretty much the promo. We had a Moxley and Regal in-ring promo. Mox tells a story about how when he first started, he had a match with Regal and he was cocky and headstrong, and Regal kicked his ass. And then Mox went back to went back and worked really hard and eventually came back and beat Regal. And then Regal was like, well, this is where the real work starts. And, Mox has been putting in a lot of time since. And then Mox and Regal both agree that the very, young and headsure Moxley reminds him a lot of MJF. Mox then goes on to taunt Max a bit, saying he acts like a multi-millionaire and a multi-time champ. even though he's not. And Mox knows this because he's both. And he says that Max calls himself a pillar, even though he's never had any weight on his back. And he calls himself the devil. But and then Mox and Regal both laugh at that. And Mox says he's met the devil. He knows bad people. He's been to bad places. He's seen bad things, and he stared the devil in the eye. And that Max is not him, and he's going to defeat him in Full Gear and da 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 da. So I don't.
Is
I don't
the
want to say
devil
this was,
Roman Reigns?
I assumed it was the alcoholism, but sure, it was Roman.
Would that not be Seth Rollins?
Yeah, let's be real. Yeah, of all three of those guys, it was
I guess it makes sense.
Babyface Seth Rollins.
But yeah, I don't know. It was good. Like Moxley's always good when he's talking. It did feel like a touch generic, Danny, but like, it was fine.
You're saying this promo was a bit generic and fine?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think this promo was like maybe the best thing on the show.
I really liked it too.
I thought it was fantastic. I don't see anything.
I mean, I thought it was good, but I mean, I feel like we've heard the, like I grinded and you're a phony type of thing before. I'm not saying he did it poorly. Obviously, like I said, everything Moxley does is phenomenal in general, but I just feel like I've heard this from him before. If said a bit differently.
So Nick, when did you decide Jon Moxley was the worst member of the Shield?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Mox was always my favorite member of the Shield.
That's
not get it twisted.
That's what I would have guessed, but apparently not. All of a sudden, I think he's a generic bad promo. That's pretty weird.
I say one time the man has a slightly generic promo. This is how James feels.
I hate that it's only you this time too, because it makes their point make sense.
This is how James feels all the time, isn't it?
All the time. And that's why I'm with them right now, because it's just so nice to not be the only one.
You totally agree with me, and you're ducking on it.
No, I like the promo a lot.
I liked it too. I was just saying, like, he played the hits here a bit. That's
all right, at the very least,
MJF. Oh my! What is with you and guys playing the hits? I think you're.
At the very least, can you acknowledge that line he hit at the end, which was everything you've been through up until now is going to seem easy in comparison? Like that was a pretty baller line.
Yeah, no, he has, like, the guy has bars.
It's just not enough for you.
The whole promo was pretty good.
It was.
It was.
You know who was great during this?
The subject matter was.
Regal was good.
Yeah, Regal was great.
Regal was really good. He really hit all his lines. And by lines, I just mean like the wrinkles in his forehead when he. But this was fantastic. This was, and if we're gonna, I guess since we're comparing Shield guys, I know Mox is your least favorite, but I guess that means Roman's your favorite. So to compare it to that, this is like Regal. I still believe is a good promo. Sometimes it's just a little rambly, a little rambling rabbity in his promos, but he's still a good promo. But Mox is a fantastic promo and doesn't need someone to cut a promo with him. So Regal was just there to be there, kind of like how Paul Heyman is just there to be. When's the last time Paul Heyman's even said anything? Maybe he has. I don't watch SmackDown, but he barely speaks. Whereas for Brock, he did 90% of the speaking. For Roman, he does maybe 10% of the speaking, and that's what Regal did here, and that's what this. And he played his part perfectly, because his little reactions allowed Moxley to just shoot the shit and talk like he was freestyling, like he just came out there with no plan and was like, yeah, I'm gonna weave together a little poem about this guy I'm gonna fight, because that's what promos are. It's just poems about guys you're gonna fight, and
sure,
he did
just live Odysseys or live Iliads.
I like it.
This made me want to see the match again after last week was like a nothing week because MJF wasn't even there. This was a good, and he picked apart his character, which sure, a lot of people do, but he did it with the confidence he did it in such a confident way, as if there was no possible way he could be wrong, which does tie directly into the story because MJF is the one with the inner turmoil going on right now in the character development, and Moxley is not. Moxley knows who he is right now, and that's the advantage he has going into this match, which is why it's becoming increasingly harder to predict. And even though the firm is there, I think they're just a really, really, really bad red herring. And they're not going to be the ones to cost MJF. They're going to try and fail. That doesn't mean MJF's going to win. I still think it's like James was saying earlier, it's getting harder and harder to predict as it comes closer. But this promo, I think it was as good as you can get without them interacting with each other. And I like that it took place in the ring. That was an important detail of it too. More promos need to take place in the ring. You don't give up on the bullshit real sport feel you're trying to go for and just have promos in the ring when needed, because all the promos were better off for being in the ring. Like, yeah, Saraya had a little rough at first with the crowd, but just we would have been, or I would have been a lot less favorable towards it, and you guys would have been even less favorable towards it if that was a backstage promo, because that would have been shorter and not felt like as big a deal. So everything about this was a home run. James agrees, Chad agrees. Rev, it's okay. You hate Mox, like that's fine. Like we all people we dislike, some for good reasons, others for I don't know. Maybe you're mad because he can't be your drinking buddy anymore. I don't know, but like you know,
He's got those non-alcoholic ones he likes.
Oh, that's so lame.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what? You like drink a bunch of them and you get fucked up? No, there's no alcohol. Maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch this. Maybe I just missed something about it that you guys are seeing. And I'm willing to admit I'm wrong if that is the case. I'm not, like I said, I wasn't saying it was bad. I thought it was good. I just thought, he played upon some common tropes. That's all I was trying to say. But I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you acknowledge it.
All right. Let us move on. We had another one of those vignettes for the Elite, but this time there was a lot less of them disappearing, and there was a lot of really cool pictures from their past. I think, James, you said they slipped Prince Devitt in there. Like, there was a lot of really cool shots, some Cody. There was a bunch of stuff of them in New Japan. I don't know, was there any Generation Me in there? Did they get any of that?
I don't know why they would, but I think there might have been a Kevin Steen. Yeah,
and obviously some pictures of them as children and from their backyard days. So it looks like there was also the Full Gear graphics involved. So it looks like they're teasing their return for that. So I'm fucking excited, and we'll see how it actually turns out. After the commercial, we came back to a promo package for Bryan Danielson versus Sammy Guevara, where Bryan was very animated, and I thought he did a very good job in a very short amount of time.
I agree.
And then we had Jamie Hayter versus Sky Blue. Sky brought out Tony Storm as backup, obviously, since Hayter and Storm have their title match next Saturday. And quite frankly, this match was far better than I was expecting it to be, because Sky Blue is a little green, no pun intended, but she has been improving. And no, there generally wasn't a pun. I said no pun intended. But she's been getting a lot better, and I thought she looked really good here, and it led to a good match between her and Hayter. Jamie won when she countered a Cazadora attempt and landed a really brutal ripcord lariat. After the match, Hayter begins stomping out Blue, but then she's chased off by Tony Storm. So I'm just going to ignore Danny because I don't think he's going to want to talk about this at all. So, James, like I said, I thought this was far better than I was initially expecting.
No, it was a good showing for both women. I know it's not going to happen. I want Jamie Hayter to take this title off Tony Storm so badly.
So do I, which is weird because I love Tony Storm.
I agree.
I don't love Tony Storm, and I want this to happen. Yeah, I will admit I think I'm drinking the haterade a little too much on her. I think she is a very serviceable wrestler.
Was that a pun intended?
I didn't even think it was that. I thought it was like haterade juice Robinson's the boyfriend. But anyway, we went far there.
A lot of levels to that joke. Yep. Well played.
Thank you.
That's the CJ Parker guy, right?
Yeah.
Put some respect on this man's name.
The guy won the freaking New Japan US title and he still called him CJ Parker.
CJ Perry? What are we talking about?
It's only
That's
because
Lana.
I didn't notice it was him until he showed up in AEW, and everybody was like, "Yeah, it's
Okay.
CJ Parker."
I am very sorry I took us down this path, but regardless, I do feel bad for Toni Storm that this title reign basically feels like a big old nothing, and it's entirely Thunder Rosa's fault. I'm very big on Jamie Hayter. I think she has so much upside. Let her win it. Make Toni get the official championship down the line eventually. But I think Jamie Hayter is the person to win right now. And yeah, I think there's a bigger feud there for Jamie after this than there is a bigger feud for Toni Storm after this. But I also have a weird feeling Thunder Rosa is coming back at the pay-per-view, and we're just going to have to deal with Toni winning and then Thunder Toni happening afterwards too.
Yeah, see, I think a big part of it is the timing, because obviously I think you want Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the unification, but you know, like, it depends on when Thunder's coming back. If she comes back sooner than later, yeah, I guess you can, you know, have Toni win next Saturday and then you have the unification match within the next couple of weeks. But it's like we're kind of, I don't want to say running out of time, but like it feels like we're running out of time on the Hayter Britt feud. You know, like it was really ramping up there for a minute, and then obviously Britt kind of betrayed her in the 4-way for, I think it was for the interim title after Thunder got hurt. And now like they're friends again. And it's just like Jamie's been like red hot since that happened and even leading up to it. And, you know, Britt coming off a probable loss, watching her friend win the title seems like a pretty good spot for all of that to happen. But
then how do you justify Britt going for the title if she loses to Saraya?
No, I agree. But I think like just she would turn on Jamie sooner than later because she's jealous she has the title. Meanwhile, she just took a loss to Saraya. Obviously, yeah, I guess like you would have to have the build where Britt gets back to that level. But at the same time, like I think you could still do a grudge match, even if it's for the title, or Jamie, you know, or if Thunder's coming back, you know, Jamie ends up losing the unification match to Thunder because of Britt. You could do something like that too. So, but it really depends on how badly you want to do Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa in my eyes for the title.
I'm good.
Okay, so let me explain some things to you guys, because it's just so silly. You know,
we weren't sexist this time, were we, Danny?
What is this? I was just James earlier.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't do it either. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I don't think so. You know,
Did I?
I can do some gymnastics, I guess, but I don't want to. Don't do that. If you're gonna have the interim championship reign not be solidified, you should have done it with Moxley because he already had a title run. You shouldn't do it with someone who doesn't have an official title run. Because to be honest, when will there be another chance in the future to do it? But that's not the important part. The important part is what you guys were saying about Jamie. Everything, every single thing you just said about Jamie, this has been going on for so long. She's so hot. She's so over. You like, how long can you prolong this inevitable split and this inevitable feud? Replace Jamie with Wardlow, and you're saying the exact same fucking thing. Okay, both those things went on forever. Maybe too long. Maybe they didn't push it too long because look how over Wardlow was when he turned. But like Wardlow, you guys are clamoring for this Jamie stuff. The second it happens, it'll be bad. Nothing good will come from it. You know what? And I will say that Toni's interim reign has not been bad at all. She has defended the title a lot. She is on TV every week. She is always doing something. She is a better champ than Thunder Rosa. I know that's not saying much, but you know, we don't have many to compare it to. She's she's either probably third behind Sheeta, and that's it. And if her reign becomes legitimate, she could be tied with Sheeta. But I think the second Jamie wins, it's far less to do, because you know what? As much as there's no one for her to face besides Britt, which, even what you guys just said, Britt can lose earlier in the night and then be so insecure about her friend winning that she costs her the title, and the feud spins off from there. Because then you have to worry about how do you get Britt to challenge for the title when
that's fair.
Lost. Because then she could be like, well, because then her costing her friend has more validity and more character motivation because she's insecure about herself losing and doesn't want Jamie. She wants Jamie to succeed, but not more than her.
So you mean have Britt cost Jamie the title at Full Gear against?
Yes.
Okay, against Tony. Oh, instead of her winning and then perhaps later costing her the title against Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, because I don't hate the costing her in the unification match, but I don't think it has to come at Tony's expense. I'll be honest, I take the side of defending Tony Storm here. I don't love her as much as my defending of her would warrant, but it's just one where it's like, oh, you guys are just, not you, Rev, obviously you're in the right, but you guys are just so weirdly wrong and making a thing out of it. It's so weird, but I just think the Jamie thing, I like Jamie a lot, but I really do think it's not sustainable, and everything in AEW makes me believe that it won't be worth it. Like, the payoff will not be worth it, and it'll immediately become another squandered run in AEW under the belt. And
I do see what you're saying.
Taking the title of Britt, that's I think the takeaway from all this is that the title should just still have always been on Britt this whole time.
Roman Reigns-esque reign. James, really quick though, I do see what you're saying though, Danny, because I do feel like when AEW has culminated some big storylines, like you mentioned Wardlow, I think you can even look at Hangman as an example too. They do have trouble trying to figure out the next one, and people do kind of get stuck there for a little while. So I do see what you're saying, and Jamie is in a great spot right now, and I don't even think she's like playing sidekick to Britt anymore. I think they're pretty much equals. So we'll see how long that lasts, though, because I do think at some point people want to see the Britt Jamie stuff happen. But post that, I can see your concern. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
I think my question is then what do you do with Jamie? Like, I do get what you're saying. I think that's a very valid argument that AEW has dropped the ball with booking people after that big feud, like Rev just said. But do you then not just book the big moment because you're afraid of what'll come after? Because then you just kind of keep Jamie Hayter stuck in like her holding pattern of never really making it to that next level character-wise.
Well, I think what Danny was saying,
I
think what Danny was saying is definitely have her start the feud with Britt now. It doesn't have to have the title involved at this moment. And then as it builds later, then of course, or once we get a legitimate title, then we can start worrying about it.
And I get that aspect of it, but with title or no title, the problem is still going to be the same. It's just going to feel like a bigger disappointment, because then once you break her off from her, even without the title, then what? She's still going to be lost with nothing to do. It's just she's not going to have a shiny accessory on her waist. So,
but that's a problem, right? Like, that's the problem, is that every time one of these storylines ends for somebody, they're lost with nothing to do. It's like, you should probably have that ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, you should probably be, figuring out, let's say, like, hey guys, we're nearing the end of the storyline. What's next for, X person?
And the big thing is to go to Danny's argument about Wardlow, the TNT title followed the MJF thing. By all accounts, that should have worked. They just decided not to. like it's not like he won the TNT title from MJF while breaking up with MJF. He broke away from MJF and then went on to win the TNT title,
which seemed awesome in the time, and now he's just been kind of having an above average reign.
So title or no title involved, because I'm pretty sure MJF cost Wardlow his first shot at the title too.
Yeah, against Scorpio Sky.
I don't know.
Would you remember that Scorpio Sky was TNT champ?
I don't care. I wish him a speedy recovery, but who cares? Granted, he had the prettiest TNT title, but I'm getting lost here. I don't even know what my point is.
You have the Brit Hater feud as one feud, and then by then we're unifying the title with Thunder Rosa and Tony. They're branching off, and you're having Saraya beat, and ultimately, the title's got to go to Saraya at some point. Okay, I see no problem with putting a title on an ex-WWE person who hasn't wrestled in years and has a little bit of controversy, and they're coming up in AEW.
No, I agree.
Nothing could go wrong with doing that.
I agree with you.
As long as you don't bring cupcakes to a press conference, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Just don't have press conferences, and then boom, none of this happens. But. People wrestle, they're hurt and they're cranky after. They don't want to talk to people. Okay, let them fucking go home. But ultimately, I think you got to put the title on her. Let's your biggest star. Now the question is, who do you want her beating for that title? If you're not going to do Britt, because Britt's the first feud, because you want to start with you want to start with The Rock versus John Cena of your AEW women's division. That's fine. So, do you really want Saraya to be the one to beat Jamie if Jamie is on the rise like this? No, because that's going to damage more people than it's going to help. So ultimately, this could end in a world where Hayter gets momentum and is hot enough to be the one to beat Saraya, to get that pin over her, to be that person, to get that rub. Because ultimately, the Saraya Britt feud is good, but it's leading to Saraya beating Britt to prove herself as still credible top name, so that whoever gets that first pin on her, the same way MJF got that first huge pin on Punk, so that it's for someone that you're pushing for the future. And that could be Jamie. But we got to see, because you know what? For Hayter shouldn't still be over because of how much the ball has been dropped on this feud, because we're acting like this will be the first time where they thought they were going to pull the trigger and they didn't. This is like the 8th time that we would think they would pull the trigger but didn't. So the fact that she's still over makes me think that she will be fine. So you can actually prolong it in this case, especially when this could end up in a place where there are moving parts. And hey, I originally thought Chris Statlander was.
I was just thinking about her.
Jade, and I still hope they do that, but if she's not recovering fast enough, that could also be Jamie Hayter.
I was thinking the same thing, but then you're like almost literally verbatim just doing the Wardlow thing.
Yeah, but they are though. They still are literally doing the Wardlow.
Admittedly, though, it's a big difference between beating, I think it was Scorpio Sky for the title, and beating an undefeated Jade Cargill for the title. Yeah, like for the TBS Championship. Yeah, like that's a huge accomplishment. She's the one in whatever it ends up being, 50-1, 60-1, whatever it ends up being. So it's still a pretty big deal. All right. Honestly, I would love to keep talking about this, but we do have to move on. We only have a couple of things left. After the match, we had a promo package real quick for Dante Martin versus Brian Cage in the Eliminator tourney. That's going to happen on Rampage. Then they went backstage where Marvez was trying to interview Ricky Starks, but he got jumped by everybody's favorite big man, Lance Archer, who slammed Ricky's head into the loading dock door. And then finally, we come to the main event, which was Bryan Danielson versus Sammy Guevara in a 2 out of 3 falls match. This match was spectacular. I loved it. The first fall came very early via DQ when Bryan, who had taken the upper hand early in the match, went for a tope suicida, but Ty stepped in front of him. And when Bryan jumped down and started yelling at her, Sammy winged a fucking metal chair right at his head. Honestly, there were a lot of people on Reddit who thought Brian didn't get his hands up. That's how fast Sammy threw it, but he was okay. That led to obviously the disqualification and the first fall for Brian. Sammy then attacked Brian, brought him over to the timekeeper area, and was going after the area around his eye with a microphone, which left Brian all bloody and stuff. We came back from commercial break right after that, and Sammy quickly won the second fall, hitting the GTH. And then we had a very long third fall. There was a lot of good wrestling here.
Yeah. Third fall was the best of the entire match.
Oh yeah, it was phenomenal. We came back from break with Ty getting booted from ringside after I believe she pulled the ref out of the ring when Brian went for a pin, and then she got ran off, which was great. And like I said, just even more great wrestling. A lot of counters, both by Sammy and Brian. Honestly, Sammy had a lot of good technical counters here. He's mostly known as a high flying guy, but he looked great. I think he even locked in one of my walls of Jericho that he turned into a lion tamer, which I thought was really cool.
That was brutal.
Yeah, and obviously it's alluding towards the four-way match that is happening for the Ring of Honor title at Full Gear. This match eventually ended when Sammy was trapped in a labella lock and was going towards the rope, but Brian turned it into the Rings of Saturn and had to verbally submit. So, James, apparently, what are we not liking about that?
He didn't even verbally submit. He passed out.
Oh, did he pass out?
Yeah.
Oh,
what is the big deal in having Bryan Danielson having somebody tap out? Like, I've always been a big believer that the passing out is a way of protecting the person who is losing the match. They did that in WWE for years, that you never saw a top babyface tap out. They always got knocked out by the submission move to protect them. And I understood it. It was frustrating as hell, but like it made Rusev look like a bitch for years because he never made a main eventer tap out.
Yeah, like Cena always passed out.
Cena passed out. I think even Sheamus passed out, but whatever. It should be a badge of honor to tap out to Bryan Danielson. You don't need to protect Sammy Guevara from a Bryan Danielson tap out after already pinning Bryan Danielson in the match.
Yeah.
Make Bryan look ruthless by making him tap out.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's clever. It's a nice transition to be like, all right, he's not tapping out to the label lock, so what can I put him in that's going to make him tap out? So he goes with the Rings of Saturn. Weird still, because you're saying another move is better than your own finisher. But
yeah, so borrowed fucking Pac's move. I still love the name of Rings of Saturn, though.
I mean, put some respect on Perry Saturn's name.
Please.
But regardless.
But I just meant there's another guy in the company who uses the same move.
I was kidding. Kidding. But still.
We just spent mad long talking about her.
But Bryan should have just gotten the tap victory. That's all it needed. This match was excellent from bell to bell. I just think he should have gotten the tap out win as opposed to the knockout win. Make him look violent.
Did I mishear commentary say it was a verbal submission, or were they just saying he's going to have to, and then he ended up passing out?
They're probably saying he's going to have to. But if I could jump on James's negativity on why this match sucked fucking balls,
nope. None of that. Didn't say that.
We're on the same page, buddy. I got your back.
No.
Do it, Danny.
Okay, so fine. From a technical standpoint, the match was fantastic. From any other standpoint, it's fucking garbage. Bryan is so weak in AEW. Freddie Prinze Jr., as always, is right. Okay? Fred was right when he said we need to split up and search for clues, and he's right about Bryan Danielson's booking in AEW. Okay? He is so underserviced. He is a loser, bro. He got pinned first. The first fall he won by DQ like a chump. And then he gets pinned first. In the for the second time in a 2 out of 3 falls match, he gets beaten by the other guy before he beats the other guy. So in a regular match, he would have lost.
And in a regular match, he would have won by DQ.
No, because the heels would have just done a better job of cheating. They just were like, oh, it's a 2 out of 3 falls match. we're smart. Fuck the first fall because I'm gonna get that second fall.
So I am going to agree
and
with
then
you.
the 2 out of 3 falls match format sucks, which I think you're about to get to in a way. But yeah,
A little
because
bit.
you're gonna say it's really not smart to throw away the first fall because then you're just
Yes.
making it a 1 fall match. And
Yeah.
I agree with that because I think 2 out of 3 falls matches are bad and shouldn't be booked anymore. This should be a special occasion, or you got it because there's only so many things you could do. Like no one looks good because now 2 out of the 4 guys in the title match have taken L's in a way tonight when we didn't have to. And we just saw this match. Why are we seeing it again? Everything about this from a like logical and like format and perspective doesn't make sense. Why is there a rematch? Why does Sammy care that much? Like I really don't believe that he hates Bryan Danielson that much to beg for a rematch when he's normally like a coward heel. Like it doesn't make any sense. And Bryan can't fucking buy a just straight up clean dominant win. He always has to look like he's lucky to get out of the fucking match or lose to guys he should be beaten. Like this is atrocious, man.
Can I also just say, where's the cattle mutilation? Like,
Yeah.
Was this not the time to use it?
It actually looked like he
not?
was. I agree, Chad. I agree. It looked like he was going for the cattle mutilation and then went for the label lock instead. He had the setup and then he switched it. It was weird. And I want Chad to go, but I do want to say one thing, if I may. I much prefer this 2 out of 3 falls match to the Daniel Garcia one because at least certain things.
Sammy Guevara is like entertaining and has like personality and a character.
I'm with
you, bro.
And the
I
crowd
could at least buy Bryan Danielson getting pinned after being blasted with a chair
and a finisher.
And we saw he was busted up bleeding. They said it was a broken nose. I don't think it was.
It looked like he had a cut here. And then I was trying to also see if he had also fucked his nose up.
Yeah.
But I think I was honestly, there was a point when he was in the corner and he was like breathing out of his nose really hard. And I was like, I really hope he doesn't have a broken nose because if you do that, you could blow out your orbital socket.
I mean, he already did. No, it wasn't his. Yeah, he had the detached retina.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned that when Sammy was going after him with the mic, but I saw Cowboy Cerrone do that in a UFC fight one time. Broke his nose, tried to blow it, and he blew his eye socket out.
Oh, okay.
Stop the match.
Move it on.
He didn't like blow his eye, like it's
Stop, please.
Whatever.
Chad, you were saying?
Yeah, Chad, go ahead.
I second everything Danny said. Honestly, if I would have went first, I would have said the same exact thing.
Did you like the match though? Like the match,
the match
right?
was fine. The match was sound, of course.
Yeah.
No, the match was sound. When you have a Sammy Guevara and Bryan Danielson, the match is going to be, what it's going to be. It was great from a technical standpoint, but I'm with Danny. The logistics and the shenanigans behind it. I mean, why are we protecting Sammy this way? Why is Bryan looking like this? It's I don't know. It's very irritating the way they're making Bryan look because, as Danny said, he looks super weak. He looks like a loser. Even when he wins, he looks like a loser. There was no reason for this match. There was no reason for the stipulation. There was no reason for the ending. So all of those combined just didn't do it for me. Also, riddle me this. Has anybody ever won just the first 2 falls out of a two out of 3 falls? Because
it happens, but it's rare.
Ziggler against Cesaro.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
that was awful.
If not, I'm leaning towards Danny, where I almost never have to see this match because we know what's going to happen. It's the same formula every time.
At least make it like 3 stages of hell where the matches change each fall. Like
that makes sense. I mean, and I'm sure they didn't want to pull out the stop in the filler episode for that, but
that honestly, then that plays to, I guess, protecting Bryan a bit more because he loses a fall because probably he gets hit with a chair or goes to a table or something, and that's a bit more believable than him losing a straight up wrestling match to motherfucking Sammy Guevara.
I think the issue is, and I think Danny and Chad will agree with me. We shouldn't right now do what we need to protect Bryan Danielson. It shouldn't be about protecting him. It should be about elevating him.
If he's fucking dominating.
Yeah, exactly. It should be about dominating. But that's just on some level we have to blame Bryan Danielson. We have to. The guy likes putting people over, and it's frustrating.
But it's very hard to blame Bryan Danielson when he's Bryan Danielson.
I will say, and maybe this is me being a little too optimistic, I kind of think Bryan is going to take the ROH title at Full Gear, and then I think he's going to go on a tear for a while.
He should have been on a tear.
It's still a demotion, but anyway.
But he loves that title, so.
Does he? I have trouble believing that. I feel like he hasn't talked about it. But I was going to say, isn't it funny how, when after the All Out press conference last year, Bryan was like, yeah, what was Punk saying about in his conference? He wants to help the younger guys and all that. He's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to help them. I want to kick their fucking heads in.
But that was him being full of it, though.
A year later, Bryan won't stop putting fucking people over, and Punk
works with fucking children.
Yeah, which I get it. Working with kids sucks. So I don't blame him. But yeah.
If Bryan doesn't win at Full Gear, what?
I'm cool. If Bryan doesn't win, I'm cool with him taking some time off for a while.
But he's not going to do that.
And then going back to WWE, where he would also lose all the time. Like Bryan just needs to retire because no one's
But this is the thing. Even if he does win, we all know that he'll have the title for 4 months, maybe 5 or 6. And then he'll do exactly what he's doing now and put a young guy over.
See, but that's good, though. If you look good, if you look good and have a dominant reign for like 6 months, and then you lose to the up-and-coming talent, that's good. That's what you're supposed to do.
Especially if it lines up with the new show start, like right around when the new show starts, assuming it actually does.
Go ahead, Danny.
I was gonna say, oh my god, imagine Bryan going 6 months without fucking losing to someone.
Oh god,
it hasn't happened.
That would be great, but do we love this title besides James? Besides James,
I'm excited for it for when it actually has its own show.
Yes,
I agree. Now it's a prop for Jericho, and it's in a holding pattern.
And I disagree with
Bryan. Unless there's a show.
But I don't mind Bryan having a prop. He deserves a prop.
But if that prop
he deserves an actual prop, though.
But if that prop leads him to be an absolutely dominant force, then I know I'm more than here for it.
On the beach show.
But some sort of, but not even on the beach show, because we don't know when.
All right, the C show, yeah, fine.
But we don't know when the Ring of Honor show is going to start. So if he's doing all this on Dynamite, the way Jericho has been, we're getting all these wins and high profile matches. I would be okay with it.
I will not lie. I do watch a Ring of Honor with Bryan. I do.
Yeah,
I think the point. That's the point.
No way you're taking the title off Jericho before the TV show. There's no way.
Well, it's whoever. I think because we discussed this, James. I don't remember if it was 2 weeks ago or last week, but we brought this up saying like, okay, when they do start the show, like, when do you have whoever? We thought it was going to be Jericho. When do you have him lose the title? And you said it should be like not the pay-per-view that starts the show. It should be the next one after that. And if you want to do that with Bryan, it works too. Whoever has the Ring of Honor title needs to be a name like Bryan or Jericho.
But he loses again. They did not have to put him in this match.
But if that's not for another 8 months, if he wins,
I'm saying he loses Sunday though. Is what
Chad wants the hardcore. Chad wants the hardcore Holly booking method. All right, I beat everyone. All right, and then what? That's it. I
win the
title and then
title away.
Yeah.
I'd rather him fucking give the title to someone as opposed to lose it.
Awful.
It is, but the way he's been losing is disgusting.
But all right, I can't do this.
Honestly,
that's an episode conversation.
We are kind of talking in circles. I will say, James, to your point that you're right. Bryan has been putting far too many people over recently and has lost that luster of Bryan Danielson. And quite frankly, he should probably take a page out of Daniel Bryan's book and say no a bit more. But yeah, so that was Dynamite. I think we can all agree it was meh. It had some good moments. Apparently, I need to go watch one of them back because I'm wrong about it. But honestly, I think I'm mostly disappointed that we're getting kind of a meh Dynamite, a filler Dynamite, James, I think you called it earlier, 2 episodes away from one of the pay-per-views. So that seems, James, like it seems not a good thing considering there's only 4 pay-per-views a year.
I mean, I would feel worse if the go home show was filler. I think we're going to get a nice Dynamite next week. I think we're going to get a very good Rampage next week. It's just nobody will know because no one's going to watch it. But I
usually try to watch those Rampages, like the ones right before the pay-per-views, because they're always good.
Ideally, yes, but I can't commit to it. I know. Yeah. I'm hoping we get a very good Dynamite next week. Yes, it was filler, but I do think we got some good matches tonight, regardless of anything. But yeah, I think this pay-per-view coming up is super necessary because it's going to really shake the snow globe. I think we're gonna get a very different landscape coming out of this pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of needed because, I feel like this entire run here has just kind of been, okay, let's reset from All Out because we've, lost a bunch of people. And, some of them might be coming back, next Saturday. But I think with this, now we can have I don't want to say a full reset. Obviously, people will retain titles and stuff. But, we'll be able to, get, a little soft reboot, turn the power off, unplug it, take the battery out, hold the power down for 30 seconds, and then restart everything. And everything will start running cleanly again. Also, if you didn't know that trick, you're welcome. But yeah, so Chad, Danny, you've been saying since you got on here that this episode was mid. So
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It was mid. I agree with James. I figured this one and next week's would be, if not phenomenal, just really good. And this one missed the mark for me, which is fine. I mean, we're bound to get some. I'm sure next week will be good. I hope next week will be good. Like you said, the pay-per-view is needed so that, they can kind of hit Control Alt Delete and just restart and shake shit up a little bit. But yeah, I'm still here. I mean, I'm gonna watch it.
And Danny?
Good night, everyone.
Danny was just about as whelmed as I was. And with that, that will end the show. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We will be here every Wednesday recapping Dynamite. We'll have a new episode coming out. In the next couple of days. Danny's usually here Mondays for Raw. James is here sometimes on Thursdays for Impact.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Sweet, all right.
I can breathe again. I didn't stutter once today. I didn't really cough at all. I am back.
All right. Shout out to the miracle of modern medicine. So tune in tomorrow. If you're an Impact person, watch James's. And even if you're not an Impact person, try Impact out and come watch James's review in the Gym Pack Zone. Also, be sure to check us out on all the social media stuff. You can check all the links below. Twitter, even though it's falling apart. Instagram, why is James frozen like that? I finally put the TikTok down there, and Facebook. That's the one that we also use, and Twitter, I think. Yeah, whatever. You can go see all those below. But anyway, for myself, Nick Cummings, Chad Big Bad Johnson, Danny Hernandez, and a oddly frozen and for some reason James Asante. There he goes. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you here next time on the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everyone.